It's bigger. It's louder. It's better than ever. This still isn't your typical motorsports podcast. This is the 10th anniversary of Crush This, a monster truck podcast brought to you by Jconcepts. For 10 years, your hosts, the monster truck conductor Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash, have brought you into the minds and personalities of the monster truck industry. Strap in and hold on tight. This is Crush This!
Well, I just screwed up the first episode of me coming back. I forgot that I roomed myself back in the green room. But welcome to another episode of Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by Jconcepts. Once again, thank you to J. Oh, there we go. Thank you to Jconcepts. And if you go to like the monster truck that's behind here, my old school Lone Ranger truck, you can go Crush This on the checkout and get 50% off your items at jconcepts.net. I talked to Jason, and that situation's taken care of. If anyone is having some difficulties, go ahead. It's all situated. So want to let you guys know, I know a couple of you guys watched this episode. We're watch episodes and assume that we're alive. This one's recorded. So when I record this, I am going to be currently in Houston, Texas for the Houston Auto Show. We'll be going there for busting out the ride truck. Going to have some fun. Go around and hang out with the Polaris people. Jeep Ride and Drive is going to be there. The Ram Tough Truck Track. So I'm just excited to go smash some Freebirds burritos. I know that I'm going to have a good time. And I also have like a 17-inch Blackstone grill, and I'm gonna cook that son of a gun like it's going out of style. Got my Yeti cooler. I'm gonna get some hot dogs, hamburgers, fajitas. I don't know. There's other stuff. I'm more excited about the cooking aspect. I got Levi and Drew Mandel. If anyone knows Drew Mandel, he was on an episode a couple weeks ago. He drove like the Gravedigger ride truck, and he worked for Bigfoot. He works for Hall Brothers now. So we have these guys. It's going to be a good time. And we'll be at the auto show starts Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think we're running the ride truck from 10 to 6, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. No, 11 to 6, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then 10 to 6 Saturday and Sunday. And then, when that weekend's going on, that weekend, Mark and Kurt are going to be at Madison, Wisconsin for the Monsters of Destruction show with Against the Grain, Tim M.F. Jones in Tailgater, and we're going to see Stomper, Dylan Dalton and his team. Seen them in quite some time, so that's be cool. I won't be there, like I said, I'll be in Houston. So that's a quick spin around. Just to let you guys know that if you guys are gonna be talking to me, you're not talking to me, and you guys are just gonna say whatever you want to say. Yeah. Anyway, once again, go to jconcepts.net for 50% off items at checkout. That was probably the biggest full circle conversation. That was probably my most ADD moment, I have to say, in my career. Did 2 ads and talked about the weekend. I'm okay with that. Hey, while you're at it, I got a hoodie, and you can go to my spread shop and get a hoodie, hat, stuff like that. Help out the podcast and go from there. And I gotta tell you guys, there's a lot of cool things happening. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag here. We are going to branch out from monster trucks a little bit. I am working a deal with Brandon Butterbean Queen, who drives the number 12 NASCAR Ram Cummins NASCAR Truck Series truck. I'm going to try to get him on. I'm talking to his people and talk a little bit NASCAR. We had outside monster trucks. We had Brian Loans with the NHRA, Neil Strassenberger, who's Leah Stewart, whatever her last name is, and her dragster. He was a crew chief of that team. And we have all sorts of people, Mega Mud trucks, stuff like that. So we're going to mix it up here. Be in the future, look for that. That'd be pretty cool. So also, if you guys need to go to monstersmonthly.com, they do our episodes. If they don't do the audio, we kind of step back on the audio podcast side of things. Some stuff have happened. All our episodes through our podcast one was all deleted, and we don't know why. So all the hard work that we have in the past, he says 10 years, but really, we really got the train rolling in the last 9. It's done for audio purposes. Maybe stuff in the past, but we're going to try to get everything rolling back. If you guys want us to continue doing the streams, we would like that. We'll maybe look at a different podcast avenue and stuff like that and go from there. But if not, go to monstersmonthly.com and check that out too. So that'd be pretty cool. And that's about it. I'm going to throw in a commercial, and then we're going to have our guest, Miss Brooke Pag. I could try to do it. Pagliarulo. I think I butchered it. She'll correct me. She's a good Italian. So we'll go from there and get the show going. So we will be... Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go.
Are you ready to get in on the action here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel? Look no further. Head over to Facebook where you can sign up for all the great events we host right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up for the events and register your name and get locked in with a monster truck of your own and get ready for the great thrills and spills right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Again, find us on Facebook, register for these events, and you soon will be competing in all the great events. We hope to see you there. And get ready for the wild and crazy action. Be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a beat right here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel.
Hey, I did it again. I've been on a pretty good rail where when that ad goes off, I turn off the little bottom blue thing. But once again, I'm here with Brooke Pagliarulo. Did I do it good? I don't know. Yeah.
I think you did as best as you could. Honestly, it's a hard last name, but you got it pretty much. It's Pagliarulo. I kind of have everyone like sound it out if they try to pronounce it, just because it's a little on the harder side to pronounce. But I usually say Pagliarulo, and it kind of people get it.
So right now, currently in my brain, I'm just saying I can count hippo. So that's how I feel quite right now. But it's okay. It's all right. It's fine. But I wanted to start off here. You're the first one out of the family to do the live stream version. I had an episode back in 2018, which has sucked because the beginning portion of the program, I talked about, we lost our audio. So there was an episode where I had your dad. Your dad was, I think that year was one of the up and coming Monster Jam drivers. And I think that year, your brother Nick was starting to campaign the Kraken, but it wasn't the 3D truck yet. It was the purple Escalade with the Kraken, the summer gig. If anyone could find the episode, go take a listen to it. It was back when we were using Zoom or Skype, and we recorded it, and it just sounded like a phone call. And now we got Yeti mics and stuff like that, trying to get everything going. But I think it's pretty cool too to have. I've been trying to get your dad and brother, and they're always busy. But for you though, having this platform to talk about MIssFire and stuff like that, it's getting out of the range of we're going to talk about, when you started before monster trucks, but, man, thank you for being on.
Yeah, of course, of course. Super excited to be on. I know it's been a while since Dad and Nick have been on and stuff like that. That was way personal. Nick was, like you said, was not even had the 3D body yet, and Dad was still, kind of freshly in Superstar, kind of starting a Monster Jam, kind of. So yeah, it's been a little bit.
So a lot of people know about your family being, being monster truck fans first, then started to become growing this empire that, is now a little bit common with, where you got, the Hall brothers, you got Cretan, you got Kohler, you got Jamie, Jerry Beck, that guy in Indiana that everyone talks about, some guy that does a dump truck thing. Team Throttle Monster. There's a lot of good group. Everyone I name are good groups of people. But when your dad, when you guys start climbing and you watched what's going on in your mind, were you planning? Did you want to do monster trucks, or were you want to do something else instead?
So I kind of was like in a little bit of both. I wanted to do monster trucks, but I was kind of in the mindset of I didn't know if I wanted to fully, say that was going to be like what I was going to do for most of, my life, or start, to do that. And kind of just like over the years, with me still being in school and stuff like that, I was learning about, new things and new hobbies and all that stuff. And I was kind of being interested in, a lot of, things that they were saying. And I still kind of am. And I kind of want to still have like where I'm doing monster trucks, and I'm still, kind of doing, stuff on the side, and kind of have like a little bit of a college degree. But as of right now, like I'm kind of just, I just freshly got out of high school last year, and kind of just, freshly kind of still being in the monster truck business and still doing that I love, and maybe eventually having something on the side pretty much for a degree and stuff like that. But full monster trucks, didn't even know that's what I wanted to do, but kind of over the years, it's what I definitely wanted to do.
So we are going to go back in time a little bit. I want to know what your feedback was when your dad, Matt, was thinking about and then purchased a monster truck. And I know they had an episode of Speed Network, or maybe it was FS1. They took a look at your guys' collection and stuff like that. But do you still remember when your dad was like, I'm going to pursue this?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of do. Like, I remember in a way where he was like, we were going to shows when we were younger and getting autographs with all the, drivers and stuff like that. Like, I remember getting drivers from Canis Jolly. I remember getting autographs from the Andersons and stuff like that. Like, it was, Tom Mintz, like, literally, like, everyone back in the day that used to drive. I remember getting autographs from them, and Dad, wanting to drive monster trucks. And I remember picking up the chassis at PEI on like a little trip and pulling it behind a trailer that we had just on the back of our truck that we had taken. And we were just in the area, and, we obviously just had to go pick up, the chassis and stuff like that. But that I remember like clear as day, I was with Michael and my mom and my dad, and we were at PEI picking up the chassis and loaded it up and hauling back home.
Man, and like I said, I seen him when I started Monster Jam as a crew guy in 2014. I went to the open house and saw the truck there, and then saw him then the year after in 15, where he was starting to do the stadium shows. I know he was having run-in problems with the RII, but it pretty, and then in the summertime running shows that later on became a certain point importance for you, and which is we'll later on go to talk about. But you start, it became a family thing. Nick, Mike, you, there's your mom in the background.
They laughed and then ran.
It became a family ordeal. And so, but monster trucks ain't the faint of heart. I have seen people come and go and they think it's all horseshoes and rainbows and, as pretty as your truck is, that people think it's, that thing, but it's not. It's dark and grimy and can look like a big pile of grease. So what pursue you to keep on going with the family business working wise? Because it's not easy. It's tough.
Oh yeah.
Especially
At
how your
times there
dad and brothers drive.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now Michael, just last year still, kind of being on tour with them for when they were doing Monster Jam and stuff like that. But honestly, it is hard. Like it is at times. It's not easy. You're constantly, running into problems. You're constantly, running into issues. Like, and Michael, Nick was having a kid and stuff like that. And Michael was driving Kraken for a little bit. We just started with, fuel tech and stuff like that. And everybody was kind of transitioning to, having that. And it was hard to keep the trucks from starving themselves with fuel, and it was just hard to have that convert because nobody really knew kind of how everything was rolling. It was kind of just like hit or miss, and we had people we were talking to, like other drivers, John Gordon and gardeners that we were on tour with. Like we were getting information like all together, and even people at Fuel Tech were helping us as well. We have our good guy Manuel that helps us a lot, that's in town over here in Florida, that helps us with all of that. But it was rough starting. And we run into problems, especially and stuff like that all the time, not even just electrical and stuff like that. It takes a beating. And the kind of how I looked at it is like, we're gonna have problems. It's just a matter of, you always got to keep your head up and you always got to fight them, and you're always going to go through battles, but it's just a matter of fighting them and getting past them, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Well, no matter how bad it is, no matter how hard it is, it you can always get past it. And even though there is some difficulties with stuff that happens, and crazy drivers like my brother and my dad, it kind of have fun with it, kind of get through the battles and enjoy working on the trucks and getting greasy and getting your hands dirty, and kind of love enjoying that at times.
So we are going to throw a commercial break here. I'm not going to screw it up like I did in the beginning, but we're going to talk about, the talks that you had with your family about you pursuing to have your own truck and having your own identity. So we'll be right back. And once again, thank you to Nick Davis and Back Channel Productions that you will see him in. I don't know if he's doing anything with Monster Truck All Stars. He normally did that the last few years. I know he does stuff with MOD and a couple other groups, especially like West Lab, because I think he was there when you ran there at West Lab. But anyway, so actually, before I even ask about the story behind you and the truck that now you have going on, I think it'd be pretty cool, especially the people that are in kind of your not bubble, but there's people in life right now that go, man, I can do this or I could do that. I don't know if I could do this. And you're always gonna have people probably ask you questions on how you got into the industry. I know you had, family members and stuff like that, but if you want to talk about, let people know that watching the podcast, would be be a good way for someone to get in?
Yeah, so honestly, I kind of had like an easy route more than what other people would have. My family were huge fans and, decided one day they wanted to build a monster truck and got in touch with a bunch of people to help us get parts, tools, and all that stuff to build it ourselves. Um, but another way to kind of get into it, other than, having that route and having like friends and stuff like that, um, to kind of connect to build it yourself, starting off with honestly like independent teams and stuff like that, really do help and stuff like that. It helps you get into the mindset of how it's like being around trucks and how shows actually, go about, and honestly kind of what the environment is with having, everything going on, because sometimes it is crazy and sometimes it is, bunch of wild stuff going on, and it's hard to kind of keep up with that sometimes, but kind of getting in touch with independent teams and connecting with them and asking if they need help a weekend for a show that is very close to home for any guys and girls that have shows that are close to home, that a monster truck show is going on. It never hurts to ask and see if there's any help that you could do and get in touch with some people and get in by that.
Especially if we have ladies watching also in our demographic and stuff like that. I'm learning the rhythms or whatever they do on the online stuff, and we do have ladies that watch it and stuff like that, and they want to get into it. So I'm gonna start asking that question for my guest next time, and go from there. But we are going to do, like I promised, what we before the commercial break. And when did you start having talks with your dad and family about, hey, I wanna drive one of these SOBs?
So honestly, starting to go to like more of those shows and helping out and stuff like that a lot and kind of being involved with it, they kind of like came to me and asked me like, "Hey, are you like wanting to drive these at all like when you grow up?" And I could have never really answered the question because I was always like timid of it. Like I would want to do it, but I was like, "Ah, that just seems like so crazy. Like I don't know how you guys do it." Honestly, was the question going in my mind, and probably a lot of other people that look at people driving like, how do you do it, like literally how do you have the passion, the strongness, and not even the fear to do it. And I was getting asked from my parents and my siblings and stuff like that, and then I started kind of asking. I was like, hey, is there any, I kind of am starting to want to drive, like I want to see how it actually is. And we kind of found a way for me to kind of start driving and kind of have my own little seat time, and that was kind of driving mini monsters and stuff like that. And even Michael kind of started going that route too, so I was following him a little bit, and I was like, me and Michael are both driving mini monsters, getting some seat time, because that's kind of, we can't really drive big monster trucks yet, but kind of somehow getting our way into something small to see if we kind of like it and see if that's what we're wanting to do for a full scale truck and drive that.
So you come about and you okay, let's start getting this ball rolling. So obviously now you have 4 chassis now, but what was the talk that your dad said, okay, we're gonna start getting this ball rolling, and we'll start building a monster truck and stuff? And what how did you was it him or was it you that wanted to come up with your own identity? Because like you already had Recreation, you already had Excalibur, you had Michigan Ice Monster,
Yeah.
you already had kind of names already on the closet that you could easily pick out and go, I'll run Michigan Ice Monster if I wanted to. But how did that come about? The ball rolling with the monster truck, and then the identity of the truck that you're running now.
Yeah, so kind of it was where we had our fourth chassis, and I was kind of not driving mini monsters for a while, and I was still wanting to drive, and I was getting some seat time in the big monster trucks and driving, Michael's truck and getting some seat time in that. And then there was kind of like a break. But we had a fourth chassis that we were sitting on and stuff like that, and kind of waiting for it to start being built. And we had like literally, we're just taking this time to also get like a bunch of parts, everything we needed, shocks, housings, like all that. We didn't really want to rush it at all. And we kind of wanted it to be where it was the right time to kind of start building and create it. And about when that time started, to occur, it was the end of first quarter, and we were talking about how, it's going to be kind of my truck and stuff like that, and kind of talking about how, obviously we have, identities and stuff like that. And if I was wanting to drive any of those, and I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, those would be cool, but I think having my own would be kind of on the stronger side for me to start, driving my own truck and my own kind of concept, and kind of start fresh with me, kind of having my own, truck to make way to do, shows for many other people and stuff like that, to kind of start, my path and my journey, kind of like, exactly what Nick did and Dad did, and kind of Michael, but kind of Michael got into Excalibur, so that was already a name, but kind of just came in to talk. And then we kind of sat down and talked with Jason Becker about designs and
And Jason
literally
Becker's
everything.
Master of Faster.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So we kind of sat down, my dad, me, and Jason on the phone, and we talked about kind of everything I was wanting in my own truck. I fell in love with the 65 C10 Chevy, and loved it, like absolutely loved it. And not a lot of trucks, like Monster Jam trucks, had that body style. And Big Kahuna had it, and honestly loved that truck. Like, was falling in love with, honestly, just the type of body style it was, especially how he ran and drove that truck into the ground every weekend. And then kind of seeing, drift cars have that body style. Like, it was just, you should bring that into a female monster truck body, and kind of loving that in a way, or, should start it. So we kind of sat down with Jason and my dad, not kind of, but we did. And my dad and me made the name MIssFire. We jotted down a lot of names, and came up with a couple that were pretty funny and pretty, serious, and, just think was at the top of our head. And honestly, we were thinking about my personality and what would have sparked fans' interest as well. And MIssFire came about, that beautiful name.
And
So
there you
kind
are
of
with the truck.
yes. So the body style, the name me and my dad made, and all the hidden Easter eggs and the flames, as well as, like, the little catch logos of playing with
Oh wait,
fire. And
there's actually Easter eggs on this thing?
yes, so if you, and it's crazy, if you see just photos of it, you won't see the Easter eggs and the flame.
Okay.
And that's why it's awesome to see in person. So when you see it in person, if you look in the flames,
we're gonna be at a show together, you know that, right?
No, I do not.
West
but-
Lab.
Oh, yes, I have Westlove. Yes, no, we have Westlove. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I'm feeling, so it's the same lineup, except for they took Steve out and put me in.
Okay. I knew a couple, like, I think that I knew the Robins and us and the Kohlers had it again, but I didn't know, like, anybody else after that. So that's awesome to know. But, like, didn't even know. That's honestly crazy. Well, I'm excited for Westlove personally. Like, Westlove, I've had some good luck at Westlove and had some crazy.
We're gonna talk. We might as well talk about that now. I know we're doing the ADD moment going around. We'll catch up with the truck later, but
that is totally okay.
Yeah, I think you won racing there, didn't you?
So yeah, I guess I can kind of say that. So we made it into the final semifinals with the Robins,
Mm-hmm.
Triton, and he actually beat me, but he had a, I want to say it was a blower belt that blew, and um honestly I think it had messed up some of the motor, or I can't remember exactly, but it had caused him to sit out for the whole entire rest of the show. And then I kind of moved on, and whoever won that race was going to verse the Mega. So I kind of moved on, and then I raced the Mega. So I would say kind of I won, but then kind of like it was kind of a like default. And the funny story about that is I was actually having belt problems as well. And mine was being held on by like threads every single race and ripping off like more and more and more. And we were trying to get like by like it until we needed to like actually like change it. And like by a little bit of thread, like it was holding on after the race, and we changed it right after that. But I'm honestly happy that it held and didn't, blow and rip completely, because that would have been bad. But it held and made its passes before we had to change it, which was kind of a funny story about it. But
Hey, it's all
yeah.
good, It's a legendary track, and you kind of put your mark on it. And starting back, I remember watching some of the videos that you guys did. I remember you did it was an exhibition car crash. It was like a night of destruction or something like that. It was in Halloween, and you got
Okay.
to drive your dad's red colored
Yeah.
Jester
Yeah.
truck
Hmm.
for it. And I saw the progression. You're starting to do this, you started to do that, and then I mean, your family got hooked with Cletus McFarlane and the Freedom Factory, and then you started doing a lot of those.
Yeah.
How did that connection happen with you and your family and Cletus?
Yeah. So we actually I want to say it was something where Cletus McFarland was wanting to have like monster trucks at his events and stuff like that. And he had reached out to, I think maybe it was one of the Andersons and stuff like that. And he said in a way that like he couldn't be able to do it just because it's like a Feld owned truck and stuff like that. So that's kind of like Feld decisions if they want, to do that. And it was kind of like out of, the Andersons' hand. I can't remember who it was. If it was Adam or Ryan, I can't remember. Um, but he one of whoever Anderson it was had actually mentioned us to come and fill in for that position for who would be like a great fit, and glad that they had mentioned us. And because we would always like watch and see his videos on YouTube and stuff like that, and being able to kind of have that like notice and that kind of these people are good to kind of try out with, was kind of like an opening thing for us, where then we started talking to Cletus and everyone at the track and stuff like that, and getting to know them. And it was kind of like from there in motion of doing their shows and doing their events that they have on, like all of their events that they were putting on 2.4 hour of Lamolets, the Ranger 900 Ranger, I want to say it is, and stuff like that. We were doing their shows that they would ask us to come out and stuff like that. And now that they're expanding out, we did a show in Stafford, and that's when I debuted MIssFire. And that was one of their shows where they expanded out from their actual place.
Was this a Freedom Factory show?
Yes, it was, but that was actually at their the Freedom Factory track.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of that's how we kind of got connected in with them and started doing their events and stuff like that. And it was a complete hit with our first event that we did, and we had talked about kind of what we wanted and what Cleanus had wanted, kind of the experience of what would be good for their show and what we could do, and getting to drive there and see have him drive as well, and kind of getting to explore kind of both of our worlds and combining them together to have our monster trucks life and their crazy car life and stuff like that.
you guys also created like the mullet and flyer, and those identities are very popular with Cletus and his fan base. They have their dragsters, and obviously Freedom Flyer is a collaboration between you and your family and him. And but I feel like that really helps a lot any up and coming driver in those Freedom Factory ideas, because you have a time limit and you got to do a whole bunch of stuff within that time limit to get the fans going and then go from there. How nervous were you when they asked you to jump over the wall?
So that was kind of like a kind of talked about thing. It wasn't like fully like I wanted Tito to like go ahead and do it, just because it wasn't, really like talked about. And I seen, Michael and them do it, but it was kind of like not really a last minute thing, but it was kind of like, we'll see. But I was a little nervous about it, not gonna lie. Like the closer it came to that weekend, I was like, okay, I'm going to hit it, but I don't even know like how the truck's gonna react. Like it's still kind of freshly new, and stuff like that. And I was like, I've gotten, shows under my belt and drove in, with MIssFire and stuff like that. And I was a little nervous, not gonna lie. I was kind of a little scared, but getting to talk to, Michael and Nick and my dad, hitting them themselves into, the track and stuff like that, driving into the track and stuff like that was honestly probably one of my dreams of mine, like a little goal accomplishment, because it just is so cool to be able to jump into just a track in front of multiple fans and getting pyro behind you. Honestly, is just super cool in itself. And, coming into that was honestly a crazy fun weekend, and getting pumped up for that was awesome.
So we go further down the road, West Lab comes around. That's, we already talked about how you won that event. That the history of West Lab, the Andersons, and, it was such a stable ground for the United States Hot Rod. And now it's with Never Lift, and getting the chance to drive some of these big events. It's a lot of, the saying goes is, sink or swim, and toss into the fire. And, the West Leb isn't a track for the faint of heart. It's a very intimidating track, and it's a packed track. And, that they want some high flying, car crushing, monster truck action. And mega trucks, whatever they do, and flippies and stuff, and go full tilt boogie. They do. I love those guys at some of them, but you're in that position also, and I know the Never Lift crew is always cool, and they helped me out when I was doing Pittsburgh. But they're not doing Pittsburgh this year, hence the reason why they put me in at West Lab, because I actually prefer having Mark there. I don't mind seeing Mark go full tilt boogie. But I think I'm going to go full tilt boogie. But,
you got to. It's West Lab.
But when you got the word about going to that track, that's like, for some people, that's like stepping foot into the Rose Bowl, or Yankee Stadium type deal. For you, knowing that you were going there, the race, you had to pretty much get your intimidation out of the way and just go for it, right?
Oh yeah. Knowing, like, getting the, talk with dad about, our schedules and stuff like that, and finding out that I was doing West Love, and knowing a little bit about the history of that track and stuff like that, and knowing the lineup of who was going to be there that weekend was honestly a little intimidating. I was like, okay, so we have Kohlers, going to be there, the Robins, and, as well as you guys, being there. It was like a crazy lineup. Like it's a hit or miss kind of thing. You're either going to have a good weekend, you're going to have like a bad weekend with honestly the events that, you do in general, but knowing the lineup and knowing that this track is going to be like absolutely crazy. And it's a show that everyone looks forward to every single year in West Love. Like it is the talk about of the town pretty much. And knowing that I was going to be driving there, I was a little intimidated. Don't get me wrong. I was knowing, what could possibly happen, and not even knowing what the track is kind of going to look like, because always, tracks always change. So whether I look at footage from before, it could be different. And knowing that it was crazy to kind of hopefully feel like it was going to be a sink or swim moment, and see if how we were gonna do for honestly one of the bigger shows of my first starting career.
So now we're gonna fast forward, and we gotta take one more commercial break. But we're gonna talk about how you're doing it. How are you doing this year? You got your first complete first quarter shows to go for, and we'll go from there. So we'll be right back. I want to thank Colby Marshall and MTRC with that, also sponsored by Jconcepts. And go check them out. They do some pretty cool storylines and stuff like that on Instagram and on Facebook. And there's Brooke with her MIssFire tumbler. Oh, look at that. That's going to be a hot ticket here on the... be a hot ticket there. But we're getting ready. You're getting ready. You're right now in the thick of things with first quarter, and I'm going to show the schedule up here. You're with the All-Star Monster Truck Tour with your brother Nick, and also Elliot Miller and Athena, and also Jacob Lagwig with Rat Attack. And I think you guys already did Fort Lauderdale, or they say David or whatever. This week you're going to be at Brooksville. Mostly a lot of the home stops for you. I think the farthest one that you're probably going to is Shelby, North Carolina. But outside, that's pretty much just the range of outside of Florida. You're going to range of maybe 2 or 3 different type of states. I mean, Georgia's connected to Tennessee, so that's all bridged out, and from there. But for your first season, full-time season, how is it going for you?
It's going great. Starting off with these past 2 weeks in Naples and Davie, and getting some seat time in that, getting more comfortable, getting comfortable with doing different racing styles, doing different tracks and stuff like that, and getting to see all the crazy things that these drivers pull out every weekend out of their pockets and stuff like that. It's awesome. And honestly, the whole all-star group, and this year's all-star tour in general, such great people. It's been pretty awesome. I'm loving it so far.
So let's talk about your week one. You're at Naples, Florida. What a legendary track. You see it all on the old school television and stuff like that. And it seemed like the most I have seen people try to take the lake jump, and you took that. And, with going on your mind, I'm assuming that you're like, let's do this. And you just floored it and just hit it and go from there. Were you intimidated by that first? Obviously you weren't, but I mean, that's not just a wing and shoot. It looks like that's a calculated ramp jump.
Oh yeah.
But Dustin said otherwise in high time.
And honestly, it depends. Personally, I would say in a way it is a little bit, but in a way, if you think about it, it's almost kind of like you're hitting like a bus jump, kind of like a bus stack and kind of like a drive off. But I was a little scared to hit it. It was kind of also kind of like a last minute, decision on if I was. It was talked about, all weekend, and I wanted to be more, comfortable. Just starting off with, the first week, I wanted to kind of just have where I was just getting some seat time and getting comfortable back into the groove of, driving again, and especially with, still everything, kind of being sort of new, but still having some, shows under the truck. I was kind of just trying to, fill out the truck and fill out, especially the track. And that's kind of been like my thing is the first day, I'm kind of like a little bit on the easier side. I'm just wanting to get comfortable with how the truck's reacting this weekend, how, the ramps are sending me, how, I'm hitting, everything. And by day 2, I was very comfortable, and I was like, I'm starting to get, a little bit on, or if I am wanting to hit that jump, I would hit it today, because I'm more comfortable. I'm more comfortable in how the truck is landing. I trust, what's going to happen. And, right before, after racing, I was kind of like, talking to, Nick and Alden, our crew chief, and my mom. I was like, hey, just wondering, would you guys mind if I hit the jump? And talking about it a little bit before on how to hit it, they were like, yeah, go for it. If you're comfortable, if you're feeling good about it, we're going to let you do it. Like, as long as, you're comfortable in the seat and all that stuff, it's up to you. So kind of, taking that step of feeling comfortable, going right before I made sure I was super, super strapped in, and, gonna about to send this truck over the sippy hole.
Yeah, it looks like that's what I was typing in. There was a video of it already. Let's see here. Let's go. They're doing. Let's try a voiceover here. Let's go right here. Gotta share screen. There it is. And there it is. It landed pretty good.
It did. That was actually my first wheelie too. That was actually my first slap wheelie. I was kind of trying to practice it out too. I'm kind of trying to do those.
That's pretty cool. Now you're learning from the Sandy stuff and stuff like that. With your mindset with this first quarter, was there a particular event that you wanted to do more? You had your two-wheel skills, you had your racing, and then you have your freestyle. Was there something that you were trying to practice your craft during this first quarter that you wanted to kind of be better at?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. So kind of what's been on my agenda for first quarter is I want to, I had some practice a little bit beforehand with, doing stoppies and stuff like that, and did like 3 poppers when we were practicing at the house and stuff like that. Just, getting the gist of it and the feel of it. And I kind of had gotten it down where I was comfortable and where I was getting it to stand up. But this first quarter, I'm wanting to definitely like excel that, and wanting to also do, wheelies as well, and kind of get those 2, things packed down and pretty comfortable at, doing them and stuff like that, and skilled at doing them this first quarter. And kind of maybe a little bit get better freestyle. I haven't done a lot with two wheel skills. So in a way of like me saying like I'm wanting to practice, doing, my poppers and stuff like that, like kind of gonna try that in two wheel skills. And I wanna, have, my two wheel skills also be in my freestyle a little bit because I think having, your freestyle run and your skills is good to have both of them for like a good solid run. That, all fans and even myself would, enjoy. Um, but kind of, doing that and getting more better at freestyle for sure has kind of been my mindset this first quarter.
So, I mean, let's go back to last week. You had a little bit of a mishap, MIssFire on your two-wheel skill. I think it was show one or probably show two. It looks like
It
a
was
daylight
show
show.
one. It was show one. Yeah.
And you tried to do a popper on the race lane, and you gave a little bit too much gusto.
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Was that your first rollover?
Yes. Yeah. So that was my first rollover and first kind of fully getting it to pop up as a popper. So kind of not knowing where the ending point was of where I should probably gas out of it. But personally, like me being in the truck, I kind of felt that a little bit. I kind of felt it at the wheelie bar and then go way past the wheelie bar to being able to save it. And I was like, oh, that there's no coming back from that. So we're kind of rolling over here. But yeah, that was my first rollover and stuff like that.
And then later on in that freestyle, you let the body came off and you were running naked.
Yeah, it was crazy having that body literally fly off.
Right, but I got a feeling you got the truck body off. You're like, holy cow, I can see everything.
I kind of got when we were doing, our practicing at the house and stuff like that, we had the body off. And that was honestly the first time I've driven without, a body being on the truck. And it was crazy then. And, during almost a full show, almost doing a full show without no body on was kind of crazy. I was like, oh, I can see everything perfectly fine. Like I am like open, freely seeing everything. Like, shouldn't have any problems with doing funny things, or I'm waving my hand out the window, or put my feet up where it's taken out where the steering wheel's at, kind of doing like funny stuff like that where the fans can actually see me when I'm doing without the body being on.
Right. And then you had also, it's pretty neat seeing fans coming up to you. Like some fans already recreated your monster truck as a RC truck already. That gotta be a humbling experience, knowing that you have people following you and liking the product that you are creating.
Yeah, honestly, it shocks me every time, like seeing fans come up with my gear and t-shirts and stickers of mine and all that. It truly warms my heart inside to know that I have people that are like supporting me and what I love doing, and especially like making RC bodies that they drive, they could drive on like a daily, and who doesn't love driving RCs and stuff like that, and having them take their time and make it literally look exactly like the truck, but as an RC is just so humbling, and it really it touches the heart for sure. It makes me warm inside that like I have people that are loving my truck and loving what I do, and wanting to support me in that way with everything possible.
So this weekend you are going to be at Brooksville, Florida. It looks like it's going to be a 2 days of shows. What are the truck's probably going to be good to go for 100%. You're excited about this weekend, and and also with that, how cool is it also that you're for such a diverse bunch of teams that are racing. You have you and your brother Nick, which is, I mean, for how much he has drove he has made Wow Factor of the Year, a bunch of awards that, some of the awards that's Kohler-esque level, and he's on your right side. And then, you got Elliot and Athena, which, no joke. I mean, Elliot's trucks run probably some of the most crazy independent shows in the nation with Monster Truck Throwdown. And then, like we talked about, Jacob Lagwig, him and his wife and his crew chief of a dog, tour around the country in an open trailer. But he has one of the unique vehicles in the world. But don't take it for granted. You better bring your lunch bag against him. He's nothing to play with. But I mean, having that group of trucks at these events got to make you feel you're ready to take on anything.
Yeah, for sure. Being able to, start out with, All Stars, my first tour, and having honestly a pretty stacked lineup, from Athena and Elliot doing, their throwdown shows and stuff like that. And as well, Jacob Ladwig, also doing, Insanity Tour stuff and also stuff for Brian Wagner and doing shows like that. And especially Nick, doing Monster Jam and stuff like that, and getting that seat time a lot more than I have. And being able to compete with them, they're some heavy hitters, and they're nothing to play around with. All four of them, they are ready to play and ready to race and put it out all on the track for honestly anything. And it's a pretty stacked lineup, and all of them are great people. And it's honestly it's crazy. And being able to compete with them and having that as a first quarter is honestly it's remarkable.
I also have to give a shout out to Dustin Spallone. I saw you sometimes he'll run Elliot's truck for a little bit here and there, or whatever Elliot wants him to, or Elliot doesn't want to run the truck, he'll run it for him. But he's learning just as much as you are too. And I'm a strong believer in the seat time. The more you're getting more seat time, the more that you're gonna handle the how fast the truck's going. And to me, I'm still in that stage of it's like, man, I feel like I'm going fast, and I'm looking at him like, no, I'm not. I'm not going fast at all, and I don't even know how I'm surviving. But somehow I'm surviving. So, I'm ready to get back behind the wheel, which is, for me, it's gonna be DuQuoin, Illinois. So that's in February. But I got another bunch of stuff going on with NASCAR, which is gonna be pretty cool. So, but yeah, I agree. Like seat time, and get to and you're getting plenty of that, which is really exciting.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, especially Dustin Malone. I remember seeing him start crewing for drivers and stuff like that, and just helping. And now seeing him part time driving and still crewing, and working on the trucks and whatnot, and he's kicking butt. And seeing something from just being just a crew guy to fully driving monster trucks part time and kicking butt just like anybody else. It's crazy to see. And yeah, it's this whole tour. I want to keep on saying it because it's an awesome lineup of people. And it's nothing to mess around with this tour. Like, everyone's hard hitters, everyone has certain things that they're good at. It's a show that, like, if you're wanting to see spectacular things, you're going to want to go.
Any particular outside of this next week, is there any show that you are excited about running at?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm excited for every single weekend. But I was really excited for Naples because I remember going and crewing and having Nick go, and Nick jump the sippy hole for the first time. Like, I was there, and just being kind of like, you know, a sibling or I'm watching my brother doing crazy things and being there. I was pretty excited for Naples, and now that show's over, it's kind of like, oh, looking forward to every single weekend because every single weekend is going to be different and nothing that I've either been there or haven't been there. I think most of these shows I haven't been to, so it's all kind of like brand new to me, but um, I'm honestly ready for every single weekend and what every show has to throw at hand for me.
All right. Well, I have to ask this question because we do it for every person. And any social media people can follow you at.
Yeah, so it's just Brooke Pagliarulo is my Instagram and as well as my Facebook. Those are mostly my main socials that I post on about my truck life and my personal life as well, and especially our team tomfoolery is our whole been talking about my siblings and my dad and stuff like that. That's our whole team, and all our trucks are also connected to team tomfoolery as well. So being able to go to that, it'll connect to all our truck socials and all the main socials of all of us.
Nice, nice. And once again, thank you for being on. I got to tag my socials here before we let go here. Once again, go Dan T. Chagosh on Facebook, MT Dan Agosh underscore 28 on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. But I don't even talk about Monster Trucks. I'm a geek of diecast. So go follow that if you want to follow anything diecast, pretty much. Also follow Crush This on Facebook, YouTube. We were on iTunes and Spotify, and we are also on TikTok. And once again, next week I will have another guest on. But once again, guys, I'm Dan and Brad. I'm sorry about Brad. Brad's still doing at schooling. He's doing graphic design work in a university in somewhere in Canada. Maple Syrup U. I don't know what it's called, but he'll tell you. But somewhere in Edmonton, he's probably gonna be laughing his butt off about it. But he's right now trying to work his butt off to get that achieve in gold and trying to do that and go. Okay, my mic just cut off on me. That's cool. Um, so, yeah, just follow Brad on his adventures too, the Monster Truck Knucker on Instagram, and I still think he's doing Pen Pal. So if you want to write something for him on Pen Pal, you can do it that way too. I still think he's like one of the only people that has Walmart Connect internet, so dial up. You can head him up there in Canada too. But once again, guys, I'm Dan Chichagosh. That's Brad Straw. Also, check up on your friends and family. One phone call away can probably help out someone. And just be sure to just check up on people. Just never know. And always like one person said when I was in Florida, always leave a smile on your face because you never know what a person's going through. And maybe that smile and that high will change someone's life and live on another day. So go do that. Also, we are a strong believer in animals, even though it's the wintertime, summertime, doesn't matter. Get your animals inside. They are part of the family. They love you just as much as you can feed them as much water, food as you can, but they need also your love for inside too. And also donate your blood. A couple friends that need it. United Red Cross, Central Blood Bank, and just donate. You may save someone's life. But once again, thank you, Brooke. And I'm Dan Agosh. And that's Bradshaw. Keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up.